Welcome to Wild Pursuits with Cross Trail Outfitters, where we guide the next generation to Christ through the outdoors. Join us around the campfire as we share stories of faith, courage, and adventure. All right, guys, I have a special treat for you. Danny's not going to like me to say this, but I have Danny Little, the CEO of Redneck Blinds, with us today. And Danny did not pay me to say this, but this man has one of the most giving servant hearts that I know. Not just for Cross Trail Outfitters. Danny has been doing a lot for many organizations and many people, not just in his community, but not just in Southwest Missouri, but all around the country. And I wanted you guys to get a chance to kind of hear Danny's story. And if you haven't already, you got to check out the Redneck Blinds. Sorry, so we're getting ready to talk about Redneck Cabins, but the Redneck Blinds. If you don't know about them, which I know probably anybody listening to this podcast, Danny's going to know about your blinds, because we are always telling everybody about how amazing these blinds are. We use them in Cross Trail Outfitters. We love them. We got many of our supporters, many of our ranchers and farmers use them, and they love what you guys do. But more importantly, Danny, we love what you do for the kids of Cross Trail Outfitters. What I would like to do today is hear a little bit, and I know our listeners will, because I actually get this question a lot. I know you don't view yourself like this, but you're kind of an icon to a lot of people. I know you are to this community, but we get a lot of people when we start talking about, hey, why the regional national office here in Lamar, and how'd we get here? And we know that you've been supporting Cross Trail Outfitters here in Missouri for probably 15 plus years. And you've supported the guys across the nation too for many of those years. And now God's just doing an amazing work here. But just why do you do what you do? I mean, you are a retired banker, and you get into and you have this idea. I know you partnered with some guys and started Redneck Blinds. And did you ever think it was going to be what it is today? Or did you have that goal from the very beginning?
Well, we knew that once we got started in it and saw the reaction we got from customers, that it was something that the thing that really I think drives me the most is seeing what reaction it has from people that use the blinds, okay, and the stories that it creates, introducing youth to hunting. There's no better way to introduce a kid to hunting than inside a redneck blind, because they're not out there freezing, and they're not out there.
Adults aren't out there freezing too.
And it's just a great spot to create family. And in your case with Cross Trail Outfitters, it's a great way to provide ministry to young people. And I think that once I started getting into it, that's when God started talking to me. And every time I turned around, God was giving me an idea of a way that we could use Redneck Blinds to help youth and help people. And one thing leads to another, and it's just been I think it's been a mission from God, as far as giving the company and myself the ideas on how we could use the resources that He was providing to us to give back to the community and to people all over the country and people in need, and introduce youth and people to Christ through the organizations and the people that we've been getting involved with.
You think not everybody understands. We talk about this all the time in CTO, like ministry in a box, in a blind. What is it? And there is something special about when you get a youth in the outdoors, if you get a person in the outdoors. And I know some guys that are like, oh, I don't want to hunt in some blind. I'll be honest with you, many years ago, I was that guy. Kind of cocky, and like I need to be in a hang-on stand, and I didn't even wear a harness, which now I always wear a harness if I'm in a hang-on stand or any kind of stand other than a redneck blind. But when I realized what a redneck blind can do to where it minimizes sound, minimizes noise, and minimizes movement and quiet, you're more comfortable. In CTO, a lot of our kids don't have a lot of what is needed to be comfortable, and it does provide an amazing experience for them so they're not miserable. You bring in a heater in those things, man, you're going to be stripping down to your t-shirt and your shorts. I mean, it's that awesome. And but people don't quite understand, and you said it best. I don't think you used this word, but just what you were meaning. It's about a relationship. You are able to have a quiet conversation, but still feel like you're in the outdoors, because you are, and you can hear what's going on. You can see what's going on. You're in the elements. You can experience it, and just when that transformation happens, you don't have to just like a kid's not sitting there just freezing to death. Now he's doing that when he shoots his first deer or something like that. But whenever he is comfortable, he or she's able to even talk and kind of talk more about what's going on in their life. You know, how's life treating them? And people always say, "Oh, boys don't want to talk," or but they do, and they want to talk, and they want to talk about things, and that's how we develop that relationship. And then obviously in that whole process, we're going to invite them to a relationship with Christ. But what I love about what I heard, what you just said, which I think is a huge deal, and this is what I like everybody, and I know you don't like to be complimented or doted over, but what I love, what I hear you say is, once you realize what was happening with the Redneck Blinds, this wasn't about a business model to make a bunch of money. That's always part of the business model, obviously, but you were realizing this could be something that can change lives, and this can be something that you can give back to the community. And whether you had that in mind in the beginning, or whether you had it in the process of that, it obviously was in your head, but it was in your heart. And I believe that's how it inspires me. So regardless of what God does and how he wants to use me, I inspire to have more of a mindset like that, to where if God blesses, you bless others. And when God blesses me, I want to bless others and to be able to grow his kingdom, whatever that looks like. And in this case, you do give financially to organizations, but you also donate Redneck Blinds. You do a lot of things that you and the community does, and the organization does. And every time I'm around your employees, one of the things that I'm impressed with, and I've heard this from your employees, I don't hear people over there grumbling. I really don't. I hear people that they love working here, and it's a hard work.
Oh, it is. It
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it's not like it's this easy little thing. I mean, you go over there to the warehouse. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah, especially on days like today when it's 95 degrees.
95 degrees. It's not air conditioned, and you've got everything in what's going on. But they're happy. Doesn't mean that they don't have their moments. Mm-hmm. They're happy, and I believe that always starts from the top down. Mm-hmm. I'm big into leadership training and love seeing that type of thing and understanding that. And I do believe when you see an organization, Lou's Fishing was like that. Mr. Lynn Reeves and how awesome he is. When he took that over, that is what he inspired from his leadership from the top down. It was always about his employees, always about giving back to the community. Lynn has always said almost the same words what you're saying. If the Lord blesses me, I'm here to bless others. And God put me on this earth to do that. So I appreciate you doing that. And my question to you is, was that always in the mindset, or just all of a sudden you saw the blessing and you just said, we got to do this?
Well, I think it's been something that a lot of it came from the examples my parents set, because my parents were both very, they both grew up very poor, but they gave of themselves. And my mother was a nurse, and that's the example she set all of her life is, you do what you can with what the resources that you have. And I think that's what started it. And I think that God has taken over as my dad passed, and my mother, she still tries to do what she can, but being 92, but she set the example. And about 15 years ago, when I retired from the bank, that I think God gave me the direction to go out and step out away from the bank. And don't get me wrong, I spent 26 years at the bank, and it was a great it was a great career, but there was something in the back of my head, and now I know it was God telling me to go out and try something different and see what I could do.
Did you have that vision early on while you're at the bank, kind of what you might want to do, or did that kind of come later?
No, it just one thing led to another,
Okay.
and accidents, you know, you
So-called accidents.
no mistakes, you know, you make a mistake, and God sends you down a different path, and so I've been fortunate enough to be involved with several different businesses over the years, and some were great and some some not so great. But the mistakes usually from one thing led to another, and you end up going down the right road.
That's a whole biblical lesson there, right?
Right.
We think what we think are mistakes really potentially is what God was doing to teach us something, to get us down another road, to say, really, this is what I had for you.
Right.
A word that jumps out to me when you were talking about your mom and your father was legacy. What a legacy to teach that to you and your family about whether you can. It's not about how much you give, but you give what you can give, and it's always about others. And that obviously stuck with you, and I'm sure that stuck with your children and your family and other people. And I know this community, I mean, everywhere I go, when I talk about being here in Lamar, anybody here or outside of this, if I use your name, your family's name, they will always talk about that.
Well, it's not me personally. It's you know, it's just something that comes with you know, just the right training and, you know, the mentorship and the so forth that you get from your parents, and then the messages that the good Lord sends us to.
Yeah, and that's that legacy, and then God uses that and goes forth with that. So I love that.
But
I love it.
Like I said, it's not about me, but it's about organizations like yourself and Cross Trail Outfitters, and, you know, the different veterans groups that we sponsor, and do what we can for.
Yeah.
And it's just the number of people that we're reaching, but at the end of the day, the one thing that I'm most proud of when it comes to Redneck is two things. One, our employees that allow us to manufacture what I think is the best hunting blind on the market today, but also all the customers that and the stories that we get, because what we're doing is we're creating memories that last a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And anytime you get a person that, whether it's somebody like yourself and you harvest a 200-inch buck and, you know, get that experience, or you get to take your 3-year-old with you and sit in the blind with you and get them to experience the excitement that the parent gets when they harvest a deer, or they shoot that first deer themselves when they're you know, 5 or 6 years old.
100%.
And it's all about memories and creating a respect for the outdoors and for nature itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I put a redneck blind on our personal property, and my father goes, "Oh, I'm never going to hunt and this type of thing." And his first time he was out hunting, this has been, my goodness, 15 years ago. First time he got up in it, I said, "Just get in it one time, just see what you think." I got a text that morning saying I ain't ever hunting any other place. So he understood exactly what we're talking about. And now when he hunts, he only goes to the redneck blinds. He's not going into a stand. He's not even sitting on the ground in a chair. He's going to a redneck blind with his heater or whatever it takes. So, well, I think you have an amazing product, but I also think more than anything, I do believe, I don't believe in the prosperity gospel, but I do believe in the fact that when we do business with the intention of growing the kingdom and to give back to your community and to do things that can share Christ, I do believe God turns around and does bless you in your business and bless your employees and giving back like that. I just think that's a biblical principle that we tend to forget nowadays. So, well, this is great. I want to kind of move on because we got so much to talk about. Something that many of our listeners know, but back in December-ish, when shortly after the horrific Hurricane Helene hit North Carolina and Tennessee and hit the mountains there and then just did a horrific, similar to what's unfortunately happening to our friends in Texas, which we want to keep them in our prayers. When that hurricane hit, I mean, everybody from the nation watched, right? And we weren't sure what do you do, and thousands of people rushed there, just like same thing with Texas. And you have this ability to be, in my mind, kind of very flexible in changing things there in your manufacturing with stuff. And I just want people to understand we weren't sure. We were wanting to do something in Cross Trail Outfitters and really weren't sure what it was and or what we should do. And then, you know how God works. All of a sudden, you give us a call and just say, hey, I really want to do something. And you say, I know you got several guys there in North Carolina. Do you think they could distribute some of these redneck cabins and we can produce some of these and pretty much stop everything else? This is right before Christmas. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, Danny, nobody does this. I mean,
we were very lucky, and again, I think that a lot of times it's just the way that God makes things happen. But it was a product that we were planning on discontinuing that size, but we still had lots of parts and so forth that we could finish the final assembly on. Yeah. And anyway, the timing
was perfect.
Was perfect, and like I said, if it hadn't have been for knowing your organization and the fact that you had the resources out there, we had heard from a lot of our dealers that we've had out in North Carolina that how horrific it was, and you can't help but watch what was on the news and so forth.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Just people were dying even after the fact, freezing to death.
And we knew that winter was coming on, and we had this small resource that we could, provide at least some help to some of the people, and we did what we could.
Yeah, and that you did do. 76 redneck cabins. You rolled those out in about a week or less. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, DJ, he's one of our outfitters there in the Black Mountains, and he was in basic middle of ground zero, and his place was fine, and he was wanting to do something, and so he became kind of our distribution center and our main hub and our guy who kind of led all of that stuff. This podcast, when it comes out, our listeners would have heard DJ's podcast about what happened there, and the stories are just phenomenal. Matter of fact, I got to hook you up with DJ. He's been wanting to just talk with you just sometime and just tell you some of the stories. But whenever you wanted to do that, I was thinking, honestly, man, we won't get this out till end of January, right? And then all of a sudden you're getting it out the week before Christmas, and we have them, and I contact DJ and I said, hey, DJ, we're not talking about the end of January, we're talking about in the next few days. And what a lot of people don't realize, DJ was actually flying out to Africa right before Christmas on a special trip with one of his daughters. And again, I don't believe in accidents. God was orchestrating everything. He's like, how am I going to get these out before I leave? And all these things that's going on. You got in the middle of Christmas season, and you guys got them out and got them rolled out so fast. The stories that you have already heard prior to this podcast, and if you haven't, go back and listen to it. Just God doing this incredible work. I mean, incredible story after story of people from out of state literally showing up at distribution centers that we have these redneck cabins sitting at and just saying, I saw your Facebook feed, or I saw your live feed, DJ, or I saw Cross Trail Outfitters, this is what was coming. We don't know what else to do. We're here to help. Oh, and we don't have a trailer. DJ's literally hooking up his personal trailers from his work and other things to people he just met, rolling off really nice redneck cabins, sending them out into the mountains because people had started calling in, and we had great reliable sources of people that the need was there, whether a house was destroyed or whether there was no heat, or a lot of them didn't have heat or electricity of any kind for months, and the need, and their tents weren't cutting it that they were sleeping in. And these, small as they were, but a couple people can sleep in them very comfortably and be extremely warm. Matter of fact, you could have probably sent out. You sent 76. You could have sent 2 or 3 times that, and we would have there would have been a need for people, especially an immediate need. There was one story he tells of a lady coming from, I believe I might have been from California, and she was actually a doctor, and she brought her medical students during Christmas break, and they had a couple of leaks, and they had just showed up, didn't know what they were going to do, and they helped distribute some of these, and they ended up even doing some medical work when they distributed them to drop them off, to get them to where they were at, and they did the labor and work on that because they're light enough that a couple people can slide them off and lift them. And we've got even some video of people pushing these things on 2x4s, getting them back in the woods where they needed to be dropped off for people to sleep in. And I believe, and now that we have been there and revisited, it's where Jennifer and I just got back a week ago, spending about 4 days there, visiting as many as we could and hearing the stories from people, life-saving stories of just having a place where they could be where it was warm. One lady and her elderly mom had lost their campers. They sleep right on a river. A river came through a part of a house, and a tree went right through her camper, destroyed all of that. Her mom's place was pretty roughed up, but it was manageable. And they both, we gave them 2. They slept in one, and then cooked and stored and changed clothes in the other. And she's got amazing stories of just, they did that all winter. Because then Samaritan Purse came in, actually replaced their camper, or the camper that they had. And she's even asked, hey, can I still continue to use these and repurpose them for a variety of reasons? And we said, absolutely. If you think you'll put them to use, we want you to have them. And she was tearfully thankful. That's just one story of dozens that we found out revisiting people that got these things. And it was such a need for a period of time that I can't help but think that God did some amazing work to realize that people from all the way in Lamar, Missouri, shipped these things here to get them to them to help them kind of have some reprieve. So thank you for doing that. That's a big deal. And there's still people, I believe, that will continue to use these in the winter. I know some right now in the summer like this, they're using them for storage, and they said, but I said, that's fine. But they said most likely this winter, he said, our electricity goes out all the time up here. We're going to need it because we won't have any heat by how their heat source is, and we will continue to utilize these. And I said, thumbs up. I said, I won't speak for Danny, but I will. I said, he wants you to have those.
We know that it's a real challenge still for people out there. I can't imagine the devastation.
Oh, it's still there.
And that's still there. And the same thing with all the disaster in Texas. And it's through organizations like yourself and, you know, Samaritan's Purse and organizations like Convoy of Hope. And it's it takes a lot to recover from the disasters that we have. And it's just through God's will that, you know, that people are given the inclination to step up and give of themselves. Just like you said, the lady that was a doctor, she brought, you know, a bunch of her students out and helped. And it's just, like I said, it takes a lot of giving, you know, throughout the world for us to deal with the disasters that we have to deal with.
Absolutely. And it's, I believe when it's given in the way that was given, it's kingdom based, and Christ is shared in that process. We were able to pray over a man that was now homeless. His home had been completely destroyed, and here it is 10 months later, and they're just now starting the demolition of his home to get rid of it, and then they're working on trying to figure out how to get him a home because he didn't have flood insurance, because most people didn't in the mountains, and how that man was still still in shock. 10 months later, we were able to lay hands and pray over him, and just tearfully, he was thankful for so many things, that so many organizations that had come alongside of him to help him through this. And the organization that was helping them was formed through the tragedy. It was a machine shop that 5 of your redneck cabins went to, and they distributed to them 5 of those. And we found them through a person of a person, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember Redneck Blinds, Cross Trail Outfitters, and here's where they went. And hey, he said, hop in, I'm going to take you to ground zero. And we met this man, and a nonprofit was formed out of this machine shop there, and they have now replaced or demolished and cleared out 90 different homes and partnered with Convoy of Hope, Samaritan Purse, a variety of other organizations to come in to help rebuild, in some cases bring in other campers and bring in even other portable homes, and even building some from the ground up. Just phenomenal stories of the will of people and the hearts of people giving back, and they are still, it's still a war zone in many different places, but the stories are inspirational. However, the need is still there. Need is still greatly needed. Matter of fact, when we were there, my wife Jennifer was with me, and her empathy was just going full blown. And we were there to go visit and not necessarily do the work yet, and just making a list of what needs going to be there. So phenomenal stories, and I do appreciate you having the heart to do that, and for your not just you, but your team, your employees and your people wanting to do that.
When we ask our employees to step up and crank these all out in a week's time, we told them the story, and I think a lot of them had seen the devastation on the news and so forth. And then when we talked about you and DJ and the Cross Trail Outfitter organization pledging we couldn't have done it. I mean, it wouldn't have happened without Cross Trail Outfitters and DJ and the team that he put together out there. And so it was an amazing, it was just one of those things that everything clicked at the right time. And we're just, thank the good Lord that we were able to help in a little way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, amen and more amen. I don't believe in accidents. I do believe God always has inspired timing. And like you were saying, you were rolling those out like you were getting ready to discontinue some, and you had this. So it was not just leftovers, because you have all kinds of other stuff going on. You had to stop production of some other things to be able to do this. And don't forget, people listening, I mean, this was the week before Christmas. Everybody knows what happens the week before Christmas. Pretty much everybody is shut down, and everybody's shopping and doing that. And for me, again, your employees stepping up, wanting to do that and wanting to be a part of that and to help in that process, I just think speaks volume for your leadership, but also speaks volume for the people in this community and employees. Because how many employees do you have there? I think close to
right now, I think we have 116 altogether.
Yeah. I mean, that takes a lot to do what you guys are doing. So,
but like I said, we wouldn't have been able to do it without all of our management staff and all of our production employees. And it was truly a group effort to make it happen.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your continued support of Cross Trail Outfitters, your continued support of other great organizations. This is not something that we have learned over the years in CTO. It's not always about us too. One, it's about the kingdom and about God himself first, more than anything, but there's many other great organizations out there that do amazing, what I call kingdom-based work to share Christ with others, but come in during tragedies and help and work, but also even outside of tragedy, just introducing people to the outdoors, introducing them to a relationship with Jesus Christ and his saving grace. Ultimately, from what I understand about you, Danny, that's ultimately where your heart is about all of this.
Well, we're just so glad that Cross Trail Outfitters has decided to come to our little bitty town here in Lamar, Missouri. We're a small town of 4,000 people, but we feel very blessed to have your organization's headquarters here, and we know that you're going to do a lot of good things out of here, and we hope that everybody that hears about you feels about your organization the same way that we and all of our employees at Redneck do, and hope they step up to help spread the good word.
Well, I appreciate that because we're excited to be here. And if anybody is listening here, something that we're going to be doing in the future, we obviously need to get a chapter going here. And we want to get more activities for kids because right now we got an admin office here. And as you know, we're not even hardly here, right? Because we're all out doing what we do, which is a good thing. But God is doing a lot of great work, and I'm looking forward to the future of what's happening here to be able to start working with the kids here locally. I can't tell you the community everywhere I go. Barb Thrasher, or one of our assistants now, when she's out and about, and she goes, I can't tell you how many people, when they find out I'm working here, just like, when is there going to be stuff for our kids right here? And people can still go to our website and go to any activity, our summer camps, our outings, anywhere in the state of Missouri, even outside of the state. But specifically, we need to get a chapter. So if somebody's listening here and they just got something in their heart, just saying, hey, I know this guy, or I know this person who'd be really good at this, contact us, reach out to us. You can go to 866-KID-HUNT, or you can just go to our website, click Missouri, and send a message, or just come by here. If you're in Lamar, knock on the door. If not, come see Danny. Not that he's not all over the place and busy as all get out. But just say, hey, how do I get a hold of Cross Trail Outfitters? He'll point you down here. Come to the KC station. There's only one here in town.
Oh, there's two.
Oh, is there two?
We have two. We have one out here on the highway, and we have
See,
one.
I haven't. I've missed that. See,
This is a metropolis. So.
two KCs. All right, come to the one next to McDonald's. Only one McDonald's.
Right.
Okay, come to the next. It's next to McDonald's in Lamar. You'll see a big truck wash. You'll see a little building. You'll see Cross Trail Outfitters. That's where we're at. But come see us. We'll be happy to get you information. We want to get a chapter going here. We want to continue to do great work. And just to kind of give a little plug too, we are in our last 2 weeks of our summer camp season. And God just did, I shouldn't even say we, God has done an amazing work. I'm so excited eventually to get the numbers out of the number of salvations and what God is doing. But we're going to be finishing 35 sessions of camps in 9 different states. Last year was our best summer ever, and we did 27, and we were praising Jesus, and we just did 35 in 9 states. And God is just doing a great work. He's going to continue to do a great work. We're working on potential chapters in Wyoming, Colorado, Florida. Trying to think of some other ones. I'm trying to think off my head, but we got several others that are going outside of where we already are across the nation. And it's all kind of beginning and starting right here in Lamar, Missouri, with what we're doing. So I'm just excited about what God's doing, and I do appreciate you, Danny, for all the work that you do for us and for others.
Well, just in case your listeners don't know, Lamar, Missouri is the birthplace of Harry Truman.
Oh, that's right.
And the head office of Redneck Blinds.
There you go. So come see Danny and come see Cross Trail Outfitters. So until next time, guys, we'll see you around the campfire. Thank you for listening to Wild Pursuits with Cross Trail Outfitters. CTO is a hunting and fishing club with the mission of guiding the next generation to Christ through the outdoors. If you'd like to support us or are interested in getting involved, visit us on our website at teamcto.org. Links are in the description. Make sure to like and share our podcast. And join us next time around the campfire with Wild Pursuits.